What's your least favorite place to get a pimple?
Inside of the nose.
I always thought that was top tier. I hate it's the worst. Second
Yeah.
only, I think, to armpit pimples. I struggle with those sometimes. They really get me. I think I might be like a pimply boy. But dude,
Is it more sensitive there? Not.
it's
I don't think
so
I've ever had a pimple on my armpit.
I envy you. So the thing with the nose is like, you kind of flare your nostrils a lot without thinking about it, or at least I do, and that's where it gets aggravated. When you get it like in the right spot of your armpit, just every time you move your arm, it just kind of like you remember that it's there. Like it's hard to forget about. But
Okay.
I'm having a serious problem right now, and I might have a new contender for number one. I have it's good. I don't even know if I can properly show you because of my hair and my headphones, but like right here where my ear connects to the top of my head in this little tiny tight area, like right at the top of the ear where the head connects, I am suffering. That's the side I sleep on. It hurts to have my headphones on. And like I tried to fucking like stab the shit out of this thing and drain it or do whatever to fix it, and there's just no dice.
Okay. Nose is still worse than both of those spots, and here's my reasoning why. Okay. Those other two spots, right? You can put medication on those areas. Okay. You can't put medication up your nose. All right. It's just you're literally going to be smelling. That's probably not good for you to be like huffing acne medication of any kind. On top of that, popping it is a difficult affair because you have to get the angle and you have to smush your nostril together
From the
in order to
outside.
try and pop it from the outside to pop it on the inside. No, that's
I think nose
no
is
fun.
I think nose is the worst, but I'm really struggling right now. I'm gonna put more medication on after I take the headphones off because I don't want to like dye my ear cuffs. But dude, oh man, I'm gonna be 30 of like. Why do I still have so much acne? I like mom, like mom. Sure, this is not my fault.
Do you really want to go into that, Joey?
I mean, I've read Kyle's blog. Don't tell. Every time I actually touch my face now, I think about Kyle telling me to not touch my face, which is a weird thing to associate with.
Touching
like,
your face is just one of many issues.
Don't say diet.
Diet?
No,
Diet is
no,
a big problem. Okay. Proper skincare routine. That's a big way to be able to deal with this.
I do that one. I think that my problem, if I'm being honest, is probably diet related. It's probably diet and or stress related. But I just thought I feel like there's this social contract with the universe where you like turn 22 maybe and then acne stops. I thought that like I feel like that's what you're kind of promised when you're like 13, 14 or something. Like I don't want like fucking shit's expensive. You gotta clean yourself. It takes time. It takes time to properly care for your face. Who has time for that?
I remember my mom getting a pimple when I was a kid, and her saying, she was like, well, at least I'm still young. She was probably about my age, if I had to guess. Yeah, I was probably about 10 about that time. So yeah, she was probably about my age.
Dude,
So
I think about that sometimes. What you like just tangentially brought up. I think about it actually more and more nowadays. And it might not help that my mom harasses me about this. That I am now older than my parents were when they had me. Something about that just feels weird. Like
I've been older for a long time than when my parents had me.
Okay.
My parents had me when they were like 20, 21, something like that.
That feels relative.
So it's been almost a decade.
I think my mom had me when she was 25. So like I got plus 3 years on that now. She's like, kids? Actually, my mom really doesn't harass me about having kids because I think that she expects I'm just not going to. And my sister's going to have like multiple and is actively getting married. So like That's fine. She can take off all that heat from everybody. But
see, both my parents don't seem to care that much. I think they would kind of like it, but at the same time, like, I don't think my mom. I was an accident, and I'm an only child, so like, you know, they stopped right there after one accident, right? And then I don't think my mom was really that interested in being a mother. She ended up being a mother, and she was a great mom, but I don't think she was that interested in having kids. And then my dad, my dad. Okay, here's the thing about my dad. My dad thinks pets are cool and stuff, but he will never, ever have one himself in his house. Never. He loves going to, you know, like, he'll go to his friend's house and stuff and play with the dogs and stuff. And that's what he always says. He says, that's the distance I like. I like being able to go somewhere else, you know, play with the dog or whatever, and then go back to my place and not have to take care of it, not have to clean up its shit, not have to make it get dirty, because he's fucking a clean freak like none other. He's like, so the pet just couldn't handle that. So I honestly think pets or kids are kind of on that same level, you know?
Yeah, that sounds like he would love grandkids, but not children.
Yeah. But, like, you know, if he was, like, I don't think either one of my parents were really that interested in having kids in the first place. So I don't think they're, like, really, they've never, like, pressured me to have kids. Probably because they weren't really that interested in it. So.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a ton of pressure. The pressure is actually, have I ever told you this? I don't know if I said this on the show. And I don't know if I've even told you this outside the show. But I have a different last name than my parents.
Okay.
I have a different last name than my parents because when my dad never quite got his actual family name. He has, like, his dad wasn't actually his dad because of some stuff. And so he had, like, a stepdad, and his name when he was born was, like, his stepdad's name instead of his real dad and, like, actual rest of the family name. So when he chose to have kids, I see the look on your face. It is, like, a very convoluted and silly thing. When he chose to have kids, he wanted to continue on, like, the name of his family that he never got. So he gave it to me and my sister.
And your mom was cool with that?
Yes. She didn't care about that at all. I think my dad always wanted to change his name back to what it was always going to be, but he just thought it was like too much trouble or strife, or he's lazy. So he just strapped me with it when I was born. He's like, you're gonna have your family last name so that, like, the name doesn't die, right? And my sister is gonna lose it in marriage because that's, I guess, what happens, right? And the cruel joke about this situation is that if I don't reproduce, it's also dead.
Let's be real. There's somebody else with your last name out there.
Dude, if you, like, look up in like, American databases and like, name databases, there's, like, I think 3 or 4 of us on record, and one of them is my sister, who will no longer happen in a year. So I'm pretty I'm almost certain that there's, like, less than 4 people who have my last name. Which is
Tell your sister to force her husband to take the family name instead.
You know what? I don't hate that.
Yeah.
It's not my cross to bear. I don't hate
modern.
That does feel modern. The best part about having a weird, uncommon last name that's, like, quasi dead is that it is great for internet SEO. Like,
yeah.
If you put my last name, how many people fucking have Walsh as a last name? Like an ass ton, right? Like a fuck ton.
There's an actor called Austin Walsh.
Yeah, that makes it just harder for you to, like, be a person on the internet. But if you type in Thimian, you just find me, like without any qualms. So that's been like the secret sauce.
Everybody on the podcast is now typing in Thimian.
I'll probably spell it wrong.
They're like, let me test that.
Yeah, no, you'll find it.
Okay, but I had to, like, wasn't there issues growing up as a kid? Wasn't there, like, issues all the time being a kid and having your parents have a different last name, like school problem, anything like that? Weren't there always like teachers like, wait, no, we need your parents' signature, and you're like, no, these are my parents.
I didn't have that many problems with that because it was like generally things were, if they needed to be explained, like just explained once that I have a different last name than my parents, like with not a lot of detail.
Okay.
And a lot of times it was just accepted on face value because a lot of people's minds go to adoption. So I think a lot of people thought that I was adopted, but my sister and I kept our names instead of like getting our adopted parents' names.
I'm just imagining you like as a family trying to like go up to Canada or something, and you're a kid, and they show your birth certificate, and then they look at your parents, and they're like, "You're trying to kidnap a kid?" Like,
we only traveled out of the country as a family once to go to Tijuana for 4 hours, and I don't think they cared. I was also too young to properly remember. But yeah, that's a fun Joey fact. I have a different last name than my parents, and it's always a point of conversation when people find out. They're like, why? because that is a good question. It's not a common
thing. Very unique circumstance. Yes.
Yeah, great for internet searching. Shitty when I don't reproduce, and it dies anyways. Nice try, Dad. But I guess thanks anyways. My parents made it, and my parents' last name is Tatum, which is just easier to spell too. So,
how much do you think if you put it out on like just an open internet call, just be like, some couple that is planning on having kids, take my last name. I will give you X amount of money. Like, I'm sure there's people who do it for like $5,000 easy.
There's a price. Surely. And I'm sure the price depends on people's situations. I wonder how cheap you can go to just rename your
Well, you don't want to go too cheap because that's when you start getting crazies, who you may not want their name to be attached. Next thing you know, they're attached to a suicide murder, Like that's not a good idea. So you have to price gate this somewhat,
I would be concerned for the same reason that you're saying that like anybody is going to be a crazy person. Like if I'm just putting it out there in the ether, like what happens if I do like they do become Ted Bundy or something?
I mean, you put a price of $10,000, you're going to get enough applicants that you can thoroughly research them. Hire a private investigator. Once you get down to the final 3, really figure out who these people are. Figure out if they're trying to scam you, if she's actually pregnant right now. You drop documents with a lawyer so you can actually sue their ass if they don't actually name their kid your last name. All kinds of things. Easy.
You're right. I should investigate that after I probably do a lot of other things that I desperately need to do with $10,000, but I'll put that on the list for late stage life, maybe. We'll take some IRA money and then we'll put it towards that.
All right, sounds good.
I'll have an illegitimate child.
Can I pull this out of my IRA? Is this a legitimate reason?
That joke might make no sense to anyone in Europe. Sorry.
You cannot pull money out of your IRA, individual retirement account. I think that's what it's called. You can only pull it out for certain reasons, such as buying your first home is one of them. Medical expenses, I think, is another. There's
like catastrophic emergencies that you can like pull it out for too. Not like I need a new car, but like my mom died or my wife died or something. Like I think that there's like some death stuff. Yeah, I'm not a tax expert. Just saying that. No tax advice here. No financial advice on this podcast.
Sorry. You can pull it out, but like you will not get taxed for those reasons. Rather,
yes,
you will take some sort of tax penalties if you pull it out for other reasons. They're not holding your money hostage. No, you keep it in the retirement account.
You have to get old and keep working. That's America, actually.
Yes.
Dude, we are almost at the end of the first season of DPC.
Woo! Ooh, I go home in 4 days.
Oh shit! So the next time we talk, you're gonna be in Los Angeles.
Yes, I will. Excellent. Looking forward to it.
I need to bring lunch over and pick up my index. That's a conversation that we can have off the podcast. But
I've already sent them an invoice for half of the work I've done here. Give me my money.
Hey, I have to pay rent, everybody. Please. Thank you.
Yeah, seriously. My bank account's getting real fucking low. I haven't worked for 6 months. And like, I did the For Honor event. And, okay, so hopefully they're not listening to this. So I did the For Honor event and finished it up, sent them the invoice like the next day. And they accepted it on the online website where I was supposed to put in the invoice. But they hadn't taken the next step of paying it out. So about 2 weeks, it was about 2 weeks later, I was like, kind of could use that money. I'm going to message them. And I said, and here's how I did it. I didn't do it in awkward, like, hey guys, I need to get paid. Can you please pay me? I didn't do that.
Help.
That's just weird, right? What I did was I put the invoice together. There are 3 different events. I already invoiced them for one of them, but the other 2 I invoiced as one thing, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I did was like I just checked up with the guy. I was like, hey, just checking up on this invoice because I saw you guys accepted it. I wasn't sure if it was okay. I never talked to you guys, but I actually put both of the events into one invoice. And I saw you guys hadn't like paid it out. So I just wanted to make sure there was no issues or anything with that.
Good politics, good politics.
Yeah, they responded back to, no, that's totally fine. We're not paying you for another 2 weeks.
Well, at least you know and have expectations. At least you know and have expectations now, right?
Yeah.
And that's, 2 weeks after what you sent, like, isn't horrible always in the grand scheme of esports. Like, that feels not actually quite nice. Like, that's like a less than a net 30.
Yeah, no. In total, it'll be a little over 30 days. But for esports, as you're saying, that's amazing. I'm used to getting paid 90 days after I've worked an event.
That's really rough. Most traditional talent and stuff, like, you're really looking at either cash on delivery or like net 15 or net 30. And generally in production, if you go over net 30, people start to get really upset. Like some companies, some like big video game outlets that I've worked for before would do a net 60 for like work. And that's just rough because that's like 2 full months of rent.
You know what's funny is I've heard that it's on both sides of the scale. Okay, if you're too small, you can be easily ignored, right? So you won't get paid out for 30, 60 days or something like that because you're just who cares if this person's mad, right? On the other side of things, medium-sized company charging a very large company, a large enough corporation can also wait forever to pay you out because they're a huge fucking corporation. They don't fucking need, like, you need them, not the other way around. So they could just be like, I heard that happening all the time. It freaks for you, right? Because they're the liaison of, these tournaments, sponsor, big time sponsor, and they're trying to get the money from that big time sponsor. And it's like been over 60 days, where in Europe, I believe over 60 days, you could start charging late fees. But of course you can't because like you want to keep them as a client. You don't really want to like fuck up that relationship in any way. So, you just casually accept them not paying you for 6 months.
Yeah.
It's absurd, man. But yeah, I've definitely seen. I think CS:GO scene has been grumbled about it quite a bit a year or two ago when it was real bad about 3-4 years ago. They were grumbling about it, and they were talking about starting to actually charge late fees if you don't pay out within 60 days, which I believe is what Europe's laws state.
That sounds...
America, I'm not even sure if we have laws about that, but I'm sure we do.
I've never heard about those type of laws ever. I'm sure they might make sense or like in extreme situations. I would assume that in America it's probably state by state, or potentially even like jurisdiction by jurisdiction. Like I can see a world where like LA has different laws than San Francisco or Houston. But
yeah, it's the late payment directive of the European Commission. Enterprises have to pay their invoices within 60 days unless they expressly agree otherwise. Statutory interest of at least 8% above the European Central Bank's reference rate. Oh, no. Automatic entitlement to interest for late payment and €40 minimum as compensation for recovery costs. Yeah. So there's interest and a fee of €40.
Huh. I mean, that makes sense. Like that feels like I don't even know, because there, like you're saying, there probably is some politics to invoking that. Because if it's someone that you're buddy with and want to continue to do work with, you probably don't want to make them mad that way. So I'm sure that it's probably used in situations of like where the situation already isn't great, or you probably don't envision working together anymore. Huh. I never knew about that. That's super wild. I think that not to even try and explain away why esports of 2015 was really toxic in this way, but my understanding is that a lot of people were like, the middleman, like be it a Freaks for You or an ESL when they were smaller, what have you, and they just don't have money to pay those invoices until they get their invoices paid from Mercedes or what have you, right? So they're sitting there knowing that their talent is mad, but also being like, we literally don't have money to pay you until fucking, NASA pays us.
Yeah, no. That's totally a thing. I had to when I was I think 6 months or something before I actually joined Dota. I put together a list of every single event I worked and the fee, what I thought I was supposed to be making for each one of those events, just to make sure that I was fully paid out on everything, because there were some things that I still hadn't been paid for a year after I'd done them. A year. I had worked a tournament and a year had gone by and I still had been paid.
There's no, like, if you tell me 4 or 5 months, that can make sense in my head, right? A year just means someone in accounting fucked up. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, I mean, that's an entirely new fiscal year. But, esports was a weird time back then. And
it still is a little bit. Still is a little bit.
Still is, for sure. Currently trying to fly people around the world and sneak them into countries while there's a pandemic going on.
Are you learning anything new about Shanghai?
You mean Singapore?
Singapore. That's,
no, Singapore should be really on the up and up, because I believe they're working with the Singaporean government on the event. So that should actually be real tight. I still haven't been invited, but I know those facts from third parties. So
my understanding at this point is that they're not doing like a quarantine. They're testing before they go. They're testing upon arrival in Singapore. And then they're doing like a test 3 days later that's like blood and spit. And then they're getting tested during the event too. And apparently, I also heard that if anyone leaves the hotel, there's like a $10,000 fine.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a hard bubble. I believe talent is actually separated from players as well. And yeah, so it's supposed to be serious business,
and
which
you're supposed to stay in your room unless you're practicing or playing.
You're not allowed to leave your room. The talent, you're supposed to all have your individual room. So Owen and Sheever, for example, obviously they share a room. And they're supposed to actually be sectioned off to their own rooms. And that situation and they're not allowed to leave those rooms.
That feels like the one exception to the rule, because there's no world where they're not together.
Yeah, that one's definitely
or not getting sick together, I should say.
For like 48 hours or something, they're just supposed to be like in their rooms doing nothing. And there's no computers either, apparently, in the rooms because they need all those for the players. So apparently the talent are just supposed to like sit there in the rooms for like 2 days straight until rehearsals and the test can be done or whatever the fuck, you know.
You should just throw a GoPro up in the camera and then time lapse what someone's doing in the room.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
sitting there,
There's definitely going to be some talent buying some laptops, that's for sure.
But we're getting closer and closer to the major.
Yeah.
I got quite an eye on the EU DPC. I think that we're really, heading into what will now be the final week 6 with like only 3 games left. And it looks like no matter what happens with these games, there is going to be some type of a tiebreaker situation, whether it be for the upper, for the lower. Like it looks like there's going to be potentially 3 or 4 teams like locked at the same score.
Yes, there are. We already have the 2 teams eliminated. That is Viking GG and High Coast Esports. Condolences to those teams. They put on very good showings. None of those teams went out without a series win. Viking GG had a pretty bitter loss to Tundra that went to 3 games at the very end to determine which one of those teams was going to be eliminated.
Dude, Cap, that's rough. That
yeah.
Like I don't want to ruin your train of thought right here, so pardon me, but like basically that game 3 is like, am I able to go to TI this year?
Yep.
Because if you're getting down to lower division in the second DPC season, you're not going to TI.
Mm-hmm. To kind of paint this, Viking GG won 6 out of 18 of the games of Dota that they played. So they won 33% of their games. That's a pretty good showing from a team that is bottom 2.
Yeah.
And on High Coast won 3 out of 13 of their games. So even they managed to get 1 or 2 games in, and they also won a series against Viking GG. So they still have to play Nigma, so we'll see, they might actually get 2 series wins, but it's kind of doubtful to be honest. But yeah, it is wild times. In 100%, I believe there have to be tiebreakers now for who's going to the major when it comes to Europe. I don't believe there's any other way there.
I'm not looking at it right now, but I'm pretty sure that if the games fall the right way, there's the potential for like Nigma, Liquid, OG, and Alliance to all be 4 and 3.
Yeah.
Which, it decides everything from like 2nd to 5th. And that's like the difference between group stage or not going to the major for those 4 teams. And those are also, the 4 teams that you think about aside from Secret when you're thinking about EU Dota right now too, right? So that's going to be super high stakes because one of them is going to get boned.
Yes. And those are apparently supposed to be best of 1s.
Oof.
And so some team is going to get eliminated because they don't do well in best of 1s.
Oh, people are going to be mad.
Or eliminated. They're not going to the major, but to them it's elimination.
Like that really, I mean, the major is like a pretty serious part of the financial reimbursement for the season. And then also DPC points, man. Like not getting those DPC points means that if you want to go to TI, you got to perform hella well in season 2.
Yep. Nobody cares about the 50 points that happen for 5th place.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, let me just put that out. Like, nobody gives a shit. That 50 points is not going to net you anything.
I'd be willing to say that, whichever one of those 4 teams doesn't make it through, unless they have some kind of crazy performance in season 2, just probably isn't going to go to TI. And those are 4 teams you would probably expect to go to TI. Maybe not OG right now because they're still looking crazy all over the place. If I had to pick one that like I have the least amount of confidence in, I would probably choose them. Also, I've watched Liquid play phenomenally and have like a 13-minute win, and then also lose games that they shouldn't. So those
Liquid,
two are probably the 2 on the bubble for me.
I honestly did not think that they were going to be able to get that second spot after what I've seen so far. But, Liquid always seems to clutch it out. So they beat OG today. And then next week they're playing against Alliance. If you can beat OG, I'm pretty sure you can beat Alliance, especially since Liquid has matched up against them pretty well when it comes to matches that have stakes on them. So we shall see.
Any one of those teams could come in second place right now, and any one of those teams could be eliminated. Yeah. I wouldn't like if Alliance is the team that ends up being the 5th place team. I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah.
Nigma also doesn't look super solid. They look like they have high variance. I wouldn't be surprised if they miss out.
Yeah. The least likely scenario is that Nigma and OG both lose their upcoming series as well as Liquid, actually. If they all lose, then there's a tie between 3rd and 6th, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, because then only one team is... or I guess
only half the teams in a tiebreaker scenario go to the major and the other half don't.
And I mean that benefits Tundra, because then suddenly that gets Tundra an opportunity to make it out of the group. So even Tundra, who is sitting in what's that, 7th place right now, 6th place, 6th place, they still in theory could find themselves at the major.
They are at 6th place, going 9-9.
That's crazy.
I know, right? Like they took a win for every loss they received, and they're 6th. Wild.
Yeah, I think that it's very understandable that EU DPC is just exciting right now. I think that week 6 is gonna just be fun.
Yeah, definitely. Week 6 is going to be interesting for almost all. North America feels like it's already been decided because of EG Quincy Crew was played a little bit later. But Europe's still going to play their big match, which is VP versus Navi. I guess those matches aren't super interesting just because both of them are going to the major no matter what, but it's still cool to see the Titans clash.
It decides who gets an upper bracket seed into the playoffs. That's nothing to laugh at.
But that may or may not be a good thing, right? Sometimes going through a group stage is important for a team's development later on into a tournament.
You learn a lot from all those games you're playing, especially if there's a patch that happens in the middle of or right before a thing, Valve decided to drop the other day. I saw some people complaining about that. They're like, wait a second, why are we patching with 1.5 weeks left of the DPC?
Yeah, it's a little silly. My only guess is that Valve wanted to be able to get a bit of information, professional data, before the major on this new small patch that we got, which also says to me that we won't be receiving a big patch before the major, which I'm a little bit surprised. I honestly thought maybe we would get a big patch just because we're still supposed to get a big content patch, right? Are we still the Chinese New Year came and went? Weren't we supposed to get something for that? We're supposed to get a new hero. We're supposed to get the team packs.
Cap, we've been going for 33 minutes and we haven't even said the word anime once.
Oh yes.
Is that something that throws a wrench in this? Because
all right, hold up. I need to say something really quickly.
Okay, hold on. I'll sip my water.
Dota 2 anime. Those of you who are following this podcast know that I am trying to make it as a voice actor. Okay, let me just say right up in front. I am not in the anime. Please don't ask me if I'm in the anime. Okay? That would be crazy if I was. Also, it's not a good idea to ask me because think about what you're asking me. Right? Do you get the implications, Joey?
Oh, you didn't make it? Oh, you didn't get asked. Oh, were you not good enough?
It's like, hey, have you achieved your lifelong goal? No. Oh, well, that's a downer. There's no way that question, if let's say I was in it, which I am 100% not, then I would have an NDA, right? Mm-hmm. So like I wouldn't be able to say yes. But like the 99% scenario here is that I'm not in it because I don't have any credentials. Very likely the studio has no idea who I am. It's not like Valve is making the anime. They just kind of like let somebody do it, most likely. I'm going to assume Valve was not I like people are talking about like, oh, marketing finally. I don't think Valve was like, right, we need to hire somebody to make a Dota 2 anime for us. More likely somebody was like, hey, that's kind of cool. Can we make a show about your universe? And they're like, I guess. Sure.
I think that's what happened.
So don't ask me the question.
I think that's what's happened, but I also this feels to me like it does have something to do with marketing. Like I don't think that the seed was someone at Valve going, I know how to do next generation marketing. But I think once the opportunity presents itself, there's a really clear path to, oh, wait a second. Maybe this is new wave marketing, right? Maybe this is... Because also, this show hasn't been made over 6 months. Like, what they're looking at, I can almost guarantee you has been in the works for 2, if not 3 years, if not longer.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, I assume that in this build-up, they have been thinking internally like, hey, I know that we don't, quote, do marketing. We don't buy banner ads. We don't really advertise Dota. This is probably the biggest swing that we got, and it's an interesting new way to do it, right? Because you are going to get a ton of what is essentially marketing. People are going to be like, what the fuck is Dota? Mm-hmm. So I would expect a non-zero number of new players. Whether any of them stick or like the game or get excited or get involved in the universe, whole different conversation. I'm a little bit colder on that. I don't know if you're going to like convert a bunch of people or suddenly have like a renaissance. But I do think that it is effective at some level. If you want to talk about the ROI being worth it, like, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But it's going to be super interesting for me to like analyze it 6 months or a year from now and see if something like this had any impact on player base size or if it works at all as marketing.
Yeah. I will forgive Valve for a lot of my grumblings and complaints about disorganization and stuff, just because I imagine that a fair amount of the content they're looking to be able to push through is somewhat based around this anime. Which, for example, COVID has fucked up a lot of things, right? I could see TI being a really good way for you to be able to announce that Dota 2 is getting an anime, right? Mm-hmm. I think that might have been a plan, right, for TI-10 to release that. So, the same thing here is like maybe we haven't gotten like those fan packs and stuff because we are waiting for that big content push, which is very likely somewhat tied in with the anime. Whether that's
if it's not at this point, then that is a giant flagrant error.
Yeah,
it's just such a miss if it's not. Yeah. But imagine they don't even have to tease, they don't have to show that trailer that they gave us at TI-10, right? Like in an alternate universe where COVID didn't exist and everything was going on the timeline that we thought it was going to, even imagine being at the stage, TI, final day, it's TI-10, right? And you know that there's going to be an announcement between, game 1 and 2 that's on the schedule, right? And people are like, oh, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? And then on the big fucking Jumbotron in the middle of the stadium, you just hear, ba-dum, and it's like the Netflix fucking intro thing. And you just see the Dota logo and then next to it, the Netflix end. And then people go, what the fuck? That's all that would have had to be. That feels like a slam dunk TI thing, right? And then how many months later we get an actual trailer and more information? But link
it with one anime shot, because you put Dota and Netflix and people are going to be like, okay, so you guys partner with Netflix for True Sight?
But that would I think even that speculation is cool.
Anime though.
Even that speculation I think is cool because if you don't tell people what it's going to be, then they're still, oh, what are they going to do? Like, maybe it's just True Sight. There's no way they're doing an anime, right?
Maybe. There's a lot of shitty documentaries put on by Netflix, though. They're just throwing money out there, just seeing what sticks at this point when it comes to content.
They do that a lot. God, I wish we could have a Netflix show. No, this is really cool. I think that Studio Mer doing it is like double cool, just because I'm like,
oh, super hype,
super
big
hype
fan
about
of
that.
them.
Big fan of them. I was interested in. I'd love to hear some behind the scenes talk. I wonder why they didn't just like get Mirana's in-game voice actor to be Mirana in the anime.
I feel like that. I feel like that is pretty obvious. It's because somebody at that studio or the director or somebody, they're like, all right, we're looking at heroes and stuff, and they are like, okay, so we got to make this real normie, right? You got to make this like the Dota universe is full of all kinds of weird, wild shit. Let's get humans. Let's get normies, right? Dragonite, dude, he's a guy dressed up in a suit of armor. He's got a somewhat normal story with a slight twist, right? Man in a knight fights a dragon, but then he turns into a dragon. I'm like, oh, okay. Normie, totally normal, slight twist, right? Then the next one, they're looking around. Arrow chick, because females always use bow and arrows because they're fragile creatures who couldn't possibly wield a suit of armor and a sword, so they must use a bow and arrow. You know, the guy is strong, the girl is agile, you know, like that's a classic normie shit right there, right? And what's the third piece of the guy, right? You got your strength, you got your agility, now you need your intelligence. Of course, you're gonna go with the fair looking. People are like, man, it's really weird that like Invoker, like that, the way he talks and stuff, totally, that's not Carl. And I was like, well, yeah, because a normal like normie wizard guy is going to be all mystical and soft and shit, you know? He's not going to be like fucking Carl is, which is an arrogant douchebag, you know? And they're going to choose Carl because he's a normal looking wizard dude. They're not going to go Rubik, so some weird twitchy looking dude with a fucking mask. People are going to be like, what the fuck is this? They got to go normal human people.
Mass appeal. Again, like, if you go back to the marketing conversation, right, like you can take the idea of a Dota anime and do two things with it. You either do an anime that is for like you and me and the fucking dweebs who are like playing Dota all the time and are like super into like, oh dude, wouldn't it be cool if we did have Rubik and Enigma in there, right? Or people who like anime and then by virtue could come to like Dota. You want to go for the second one.
I mean, I want the second one. I don't want, like, how am I, like, I just can't imagine watching a show and I'm watching a show and like one of the characters is like the fucking epitome of some sort of black hole. It's a personification of a black hole. And the other guy is the personification of the heat death of the universe. Like, what? That like what? That's not like, why don't they just kill everything and everyone immediately? Like, I don't know how that world possibly makes sense. But man who's a knight who fights dragons, that makes sense. Sure, easy.
I mean, I'm excited.
Fucking Dota lore is fucked up, man. I there's no way I want a story that is that tied with Dota lore. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry if the Valve guy who's in charge of Dota lore is listening to this podcast and is hurt by this. But like, I'm sorry. There's no way this makes a coherent story. The Dota universe. It just doesn't.
But I wanted a story about Underlord and his relationship with Crystal Maiden. Because they're lovers.
You know, I want this anime, again, super normie shit. I want this anime, I want the big bad to be one of two things, all right? Either the undead people or the demon people, right? Super easy, right? Necrophos and Undying, right? There's an undead fucking, you could explore some of that story. Of the lore that, you know, is actually in Dota, you can explore that story. And you make it very focused on just that, right? Or just demons. Though demons is even a little bit far out there because all the fucking hells and shit that they have. But like, I feel like undead, super easy. Dead God. Dead God creates undead things. Special undead people like Necrophos and Undying. All right, cool. easy.
Got it.
You know.
Man,
But yeah.
I'm excited. When I first thought about it, I'm like, do I really want to watch this? And I thought about it for 10 seconds, and I'm like, yes, I absolutely want to support this. Like,
Yeah.
anime isn't inherently my jam. Studio Mer's cool because, like, I love Korra. I've watched a small handful of select animes. I've watched Eva. I've watched Death Note. I've really liked Beastars, which makes me wonder if I'm a furry or not, but that's a whole different conversation.
I didn't watch that because it was so incredibly. I was just like, I looked at that. I was like, that's furry bait right there. I'm not watching that. I've definitely watched way more anime than you, and I definitely have not seen Beastars.
Cap, if you find the time, I actually legitimately think it's pretty good. You should watch it. And I'm not doing a bit right now. And again, maybe I'm a furry. I don't really know, but like you should probably watch it. It's actually pretty good. You're saying in your voice of like I'm appeasing you, but I'm not going to. You should
Listen. There's a bunch of good anime I'm watching right now. All right, I got Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm watching Promise Neverland. Yeah, it's mostly
I watched all of Hakuya. I watched all of Yuri on Ice. Yeah, I've watched some animes.
Did you know Studio Mer did Black Dynamite and the Boondocks?
Yeah, like that's like season 5 of Boondocks, I think, right? Or
season 4.
Okay. But yeah. The fact that when I saw the art style and I'm like, holy shit, is that Studio Mer? Like just big win.
Yeah.
I know we're going all over the place here. There's a very minimal coherent thread that we've been following through this episode, so I think people are getting like tonal whiplash listening to us. Probably not. People are probably like masturbating, playing Dota, doing something while listening to us. That's fine.
True.
I wanted to finish up a DPC conversation with you.
Okay.
Because I know that we're excited to see like the end of what happens with like the EU and other leagues and who's going to the major, and is EG like gonna lose like a weird game and get knocked out, or like there's all these fun stories that are coming to fruition. The last one's not gonna happen. But I've actually been looking more and more at Division 2.
Is this the match fixing talk? Is it time to talk about match fixing?
To try and figure out what's going on there. Like, are there any Division 2 teams who are going to get brought up who are actually of interest at this point? And there might be in like C or maybe China. I'm really concerned about most of them. And as I was going through Wikipedia, and maybe I should have been following the news quicker, I did not realize how much of a fiesta it's been with teams being disqualified across most regions.
Yes.
Do you know off the top of your head, do you know how many teams have dropped out of the DPC Division 2?
At least 4.
That's accurate because there's 5.
Yeah.
So I went through, Cap. I did the research, and I'm actually interested in talking about some of these. But I want to quiz you a little bit about all these different teams and see if we actually know why they left or why they're interesting.
Okay, I can give you more than the official news.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm cool. I don't mind that. So just in no particular order, the first one, It's Okay. Do you know what happened to It's Okay?
I don't know who that is. Are they in C or something?
No, they're in NA.
Oh, okay. They were the team that they were playing in both NA and C or something like that, right?
Yeah,
they were playing multiple regions. Somebody was playing on somebody was sharing accounts or some shit. I don't remember what it was. It was weird.
They were disqualified right at the beginning so quickly that they were able to be replaced. And they were disqualified for competing on alternate accounts in multiple regions. So that's one NA team that just got the fuck out of there. Next team. I know you know what's up with this team.
Literally a fucking revolving door in the DPC, out the DPC.
It's like the Simpsons meme where you go to the bar and you walk around and then leave. It's like, hey, what's up? Someone should have made that. I'm sure someone probably made that. Now this one, I feel no stakes to, aside from the fact that I think they actually have my favorite team name, because I think it's so much fun to say Bourgeois. It's just a fun word.
Yes. Bourgeois or bourgeois, I believe is the pronunciation. I believe it's Russian for bourgeois. Yes, they're the ones who... Were they the ones? Okay. Bourgeois was believed that one of their members was match fixing. No.
Nope.
They okay. So okay. What I heard. What I heard was the story. They have been having stand-ins from the get-go. They basically did not want to play with their mid player, and I have heard conflicting reports about why they haven't been playing with their mid player. One of the things was that like he didn't want to play with them, or he was holding them hostage. He was like demanding money or something like that in order to play or something. So they had to have stand-ins, and then they ended up faking a COVID result in order to try and get to allow them to have somebody swapped in, because that has happened before. That has already happened with Bait. I believe Bait had some sort of roster switch up for something. So Bourgeois was trying to do something like that, and they faked a COVID result. That's gross, man.
This one might be the most interesting for a couple reasons for me. You're right. Bourgeois was Bourgeois, you're allowed to have 4 subs per season. Bourgeois maxed that out. Yeah. And they wanted a 5th sub. In order to get that 5th sub, they faked a COVID test. Interesting here. I think something that we probably don't talk about enough, like not just in Dota or esports, but just in society, is how powerful of a trump card or an excuse COVID is. I think that if you wanted to be malicious with it, like Bourgeois was trying to be, it's really not that hard to do. And if you're people who are questioning like, oh, well, you can't come into work because you have COVID, or, you know, as an example, like, you just can't do that. You can't be like, you can't pressure someone who's admitting to having or potentially having COVID, because that's just, then you're an animal, right? Yeah. Like, you're a shit person if you're challenging that. However, Bourgeois did try and pull that shit and were caught doing it, which makes you wonder how many people in all walks of life are just doing that right now, right?
Yeah.
But it's wild to me that someone didn't trust them enough, or they doctored documents so poorly. I wish that they would have like released the documents so we could have seen how they photoshopped them to actually.
I mean, this one's kind of easy because they were having stand-ins from the get-go and didn't say anything about COVID up until it was finally time where they had to have a medical excuse. That, you know, it was so blatantly fucking obvious, honestly. We're all talking about it behind the scene. We're like, man, that kind of sucks that that guy has COVID. But I don't think he has COVID. Like, it was just like, it was like way too obvious that this was the thing. So, yeah, that's kind of scummy.
Pretty wild. Next team, Metaphor Pro.
Now, Metaphor Pro voluntarily forfeited because they suspected that one of their players was match fixing.
Correct. Ding ding. That feels like the noble thing to do and like the smart thing to do if you don't want to like put your career in any jeopardy because of one person being a shithead. Right?
Okay. I think that is the optimistic way to look at it, for sure. I think it does require at least some moral character to be able to know that somebody else on your team is potentially match fixing and not try and get in on it, right? Maybe a little bit more to report it. But I would also say that I know it is a real threat. Match fixing, one person does it, and the whole team could get Valve banned, right? So I don't want to downplay too much. I think they did do it probably for the right reasons, but it also is probably to save their own skin.
Yeah, which also
because there's no way you get out of that. You have to throw yourself in front of the bus in order to prevent. Because if this ever gets out, you're getting Valve banned, and your entire pro career is gone. This only gives them a chance to get out of it. I think a pretty good chance, because honestly, Valve would be kind of psychos to be like, nope, you're all banned after they voluntarily came out and said, we think this guy might be match fixing. Please don't ban us.
Yeah, I think it's the right move. I think it's the right move, just for saving their own skin. I do have a bit of an optimistic slant on it, but wild. And I think that it's still a question mark of who that person is. No.
Yeah. Okay, so I just want to make a joke here. I legitimately have no idea. I have literally zero inkling. But one of the games that they played, they had a guy who was playing offlane Viper, and he died like 20 times or something in that game, right? That has happened plenty of times. Losing game when you're playing Viper 3-position offlane, and in a losing game, you're gonna die a lot because you're kind of supposed to be a frontliner. You don't have an escape mechanism. You're just supposed to be a tanky boy, and you're not tanky because you're losing the game. But I saw in Twitch chat, people were pointing to that person as being obviously it's that guy because he went like 0 and 20 or something. And I was just kind of sitting there laughing because I was like, man, imagine you played a professional match and you were trying hard, but you got bopped so hard. You played so poorly that people legitimately thought you were match fixing. They were like, that guy's match fixing. And you have to be like, you're like, what do you say? No, I just suck.
I was really bad. Also, what good cover for the person who was match fixing? like, nah, man. I think it was my fucking Viper.
Anyway, I have to guess that that team is in communications with Valve, and they probably put the name forward. So we will very likely figure it out eventually once Valve officially bans this person. But yeah.
Next team number 4, Janghu.
Janghu very recently forfeited, and I believe they forfeited for the same reason. I don't think this is official, but they basically forfeited 2 matches in a row and were therefore eliminated. And I believe it's because they believe one of their players was match fixing as well.
See, now
that is the rumor I've heard.
That is, and I should double clarify, a rumor that hasn't been substantiated.
That is a rumor.
The official reason for any team who forfeits 2 matches is out, and they forfeited 2 matches. So we don't know if more is going on, but it's really adding to the pile of how easy it is and how tempting it is for these Division 2 teams to be able to probably make more money than the entire league just by throwing games, which is a very interesting conundrum. Right?
Yeah, I mean, there was news put out there from some of the CIS players. They got contacted and they were offered absurd amounts of money to throw a single game. So, I believe it's Chinese bettors because that is where a lot of money of gambling and esports comes from. It's either CIS or China, and it's basically Chinese bettors representing a Chinese betting company is the story, and they basically said, hey, you throw this first game and we'll pay you thousands of dollars. And those people came out with it, and good on them. I believe there was at least 2 different people who came out and said that. Good on them for outing that person who's trying to scout them and stuff, but these guys are basically cold calling people and be like, hello, yes, is this XYZ in the lower division part of this team? Yes, how would you like to make thousands of dollars? All you have to do is throw a match. You're already 0 and 4. you know?
Yeah.
It's wild.
Which, I guess big picture, it puts like this potential air of illegitimacy over some of the Division 2 stuff. Because if we know that people are being reached out to, and you know that it's happening, and you know that teams are disqualifying themselves because they think it's happening, are there more stories we don't know about? Right? Like, it just makes you wonder. It makes you think, right?
Yeah. No, for sure. I think it's definitely concerning. And I see some people saying like, oh, this is why Valve needs to give 7th, 8th money to play. I don't think that giving them $5,000 and splitting that up 5 different ways is going to magically stop match fixing. Because these guys are being offered like thousands upon thousands of dollars. Giving each of them $1,000 is not going to stop match fixing. So they should still give 7th and 8th place some amount of money because you're asking them to be available for 5 weeks to play a match. And I think that's kind of the right thing to do. But giving them that money will not stop this match fixing. Let's not go down that narrative.
Exactly. Especially because, like you said, like $1,000 or random match fixer offers them $10,000.
Yeah.
Valve can't compete with the economics of people who really want, to rig something, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
One last team. Do you know what happened to 0900?
That is the Southeast Asian team?
No.
Or were they Chinese?
Nope. South American team.
Oh, South American team. Oh yeah, that's right. Match fixing.
I like the idea of like, well, what's the most likely scenario? But it's related, which builds onto the whole problem. 0900, which I didn't know about until I was like really scrolling through Wikipedia, like doing some research before this. They were disqualified because a team member was found betting on league matches.
Oh, I do know this story. Go ahead, Todd.
That's all I have. One of the
really?
team members was betting on league matches.
Okay. Fucking, this story is hilarious. All right. I read this story on a Reddit comment. I have not verified it. I have no idea if it's true or not. Okay. Again, rumor, big rumor. All right. But I'm going to tell this because I think it's fucking hilarious if it's actually true. All right. So apparently what happened was the guy on 0900, I think it was Jericho. They were getting flamed for losing. And they were being flamed for throwing a game. And people are accusing them of match fixing. People are accusing them of intentionally throwing in order to get a little bit of money. Apparently, what he did in response to that was post showing that he bet on himself. I wasn't match fixing. See, I bet on our team to win, and thought that was a good defense.
Okay.
If that's actually fucking true, holy shit, that's fucking hilarious.
Okay, I think I understand why, in theory, that's a good defense.
Yeah.
If you don't think about all of the other implications that come with you betting on league games that you're participating in, which is not allowed in the rules.
You just don't read the rules of the tournament that you're in. It's very clear you are not allowed to bet on these matches, no matter what side you're choosing.
Yeah. It's hey officer, here are my red hands with blood on them. Don't mind me. I
didn't murder that guy. I was murdering this other guy at the time.
I didn't kill John because I was actively strangling Jimmy. Like, come on, I can't. How are you gonna? I have an alibi. It was also murder, but I have an alibi.
Oh, fuck, man. it was just too fucking good. Too fucking good, man.
2 NA teams, 2 EU teams, and a South American team over the course of the last 5 weeks have been disqualified or forfeited, 3 of which involved betting in some way, shape, or form, potentially 4.
Yeah, I just refuse to believe that, like, what are those teams in the Chinese lower division? There's not one of them that was also given the same offer that international teams were given about potentially throwing. I mean, actually, maybe it's less likely. Maybe that guy, that the Chinese betting company guy, maybe his idea was the more distance between us, you know,
geographical distance.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, but I mean, I think I read in the comment, it was like Funnick or somebody, like that was straight up part of it. It was like, you know, people aren't going to suspect you guys because this will be on Chinese betting site. You know, like when people see like fucking weird odds and shit, you know, people aren't really going to notice because it's so disconnected between our scenes. So I guess maybe that actually, but you know, it's just like China has had match fixing problems in the past, quite notoriously with Newbie. That was obviously the biggest match fixing scandal since 322 himself solo. So
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we found out about more, or potentially a couple people got away with it.
Yeah,
wouldn't be surprised.
Yep.
But shit, dude, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. Happy weekend. Happy almost end of the Dota season.
Yeah. Oh, Joey, I'm almost fucking 8K, bro. I'm 2 wins away from being 8,000 MMR.
I've been following that Twitter thread. Anyone who's not following Capcast on Twitter, I saw like, hey guys, I'm like 7.5. I'm gonna make it to 8, and I'm like, that's gonna take Austin like, I don't know, like a month. Like, there's no way he's gonna do that before he leaves. And then like a day later, you're like, hey guys, I'm like 7.8K, and I'm like, damn, he must have played a lot of Dota yesterday. And then I think today you're like, hey everybody, I'm 2 games away. Are you feeling like a pressure ratchet up, or are you like just fucking vibing, like you're just on fire?
Nah, I'm vibing. I've got like something like over a 70% win rate in this month, in this stint of playing Dota in Europe. It's fucking great. I mean, you know, fuck it. You know, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I don't really care that much. I've got one more day to play. That's going to be on Monday. We've got a day off on Monday because of those teams that were disqualified. They had a match that was supposed to be on Monday, so there's now no match on Monday. So yeah, I've got the day off, and I'll play Dota then.
You have to net 2 games. All you gotta do is net 2 games over your day.
Yeah, I've gotten this close to 7K. The first time I made my run up to 7K, I got this close, and then I dropped down to like 6.8 or something like that. And I was kind of like stuck there for a while. If it doesn't happen, that's fine. Like, I feel like I already proved my point. I don't even know what point I'm trying to prove here, but like, you know, I just came in here. I said, I'm going to take a bunch of Europe from the, I'm going to take a bunch of MMR from the European server and bring it back to NA, like some sort of fucking Viking.
You're MMR Robin Hood.
Yeah.
You're robbing from the rich, and you're going to go distribute it back to NA now.
Yeah. It's inflated SMMR. I'm trying to take as much of it as I can.
Dude, yeah.
No, I mean, I just said, like, I just know that European servers are just better for me to play on. So I was hoping to take full advantage of it while I was here. And I feel like I did.
Is that because you find you just have less games that are just shit?
Yeah, I also play, like, I've moved over to playing support. So this actually has nothing to do with the personalities of the region, and actually this is just due to the size of the player base, right? As an 8K player, I can play 5 position at about like 70 to 80% of my games, and because the people that I'm playing with are either close to my MMR or even potentially above me. And I get some like dope ass games. I played with Kezu twice. I played with Skeeter twice. I played against some of the CIS guys. Played with and against the CIS guys like Utoro and Bignum. Like I'm playing with the pros, and I can play support. Where obviously like the strength of your allies is more important when you're playing support than compared to mid, right? Mid, like you want to grind MMR in NA, like do it from the mid and carry position. But I feel like for me anyway, playing in Europe and playing support is just better because there's a lot more high level players. It's just the sheer number of players on that server is like 10 times the amount that's on US East, I'm sure.
And also, I mean, you are definitively the highest MMR Dota talent.
Yes! I mean, there's still BSJ. Fuck that guy. But yes!
Yeah, does he really count?
Even T-Gov. Fucking T-Gov. I fucking zoomed past that bitch. Woo! I just sailed right on past him. He was fucking eating my dust. Professional coach my ass. Fucking Kyle over there who says, like, you know, he always tells me, he's like, oh, well, I'm like 7.5K. I'm like, bitch, you haven't played Dota. I know you're not playing ranked. Fucking, I know he's got a rank now, but it's way behind me, motherfucker.
Hey, man, he's been in a TI.
True. But what have you done for me lately? Dota is a what have you done for me lately game.
We gotta find a way to pitch you being AK as a bit on some of these shows, on some of these broadcasts. Gotta find a good conceit to really properly brag about that.
I mean, the thing is, I can only do it a few times. You know, I can't do it too many times because people get sick of it. And I also don't like legitimately want to make my other analysts look bad. I want to clown on them, but I don't want people to legitimately believe that they're worse than me at analyzing the game, because like Kyle and Robson are both much better at analyzing the draft than I am. Mm-hmm. And very likely they're probably better at analyzing the game too. So, you know, I don't legitimately want to take away from them, especially Robson, because he's doing a killer job at Dream League.
Yeah, and you don't want to. You don't also want people to perceive you as too pompous. Like it needs to be like something that is like a one-off or something that is funny.
And this guy is looking too pompous and arrogant. Yeah, that's a problem.
My friend, I think we should leave it there. I think I'll see you when you're back in America.
Yeet.
And that's it. That's it. That was a lot. That's a lot of show. It's a lot of show. A lot of things.
What about your Bitcoin story?
You know what? It's still not fully resolved. I promise I will tell it. There is not. I do not want to spend 20 minutes really ruining what I would argue is a great conversation we had with garbage. Because all that will fall out of my mouth is garbage. Also, gotta take a shit.